Hi, I'm Michele Lee, and I will be working with you today on storytelling for children. First, I would like us to take a few minutes and talk about what each of us would like to take away from this class. What are your objectives and expectations? Once you have a clear idea, discuss how you think you might use storytelling in your classroom with young learners. Take 10 minutes to discuss these questions. Now that you have an idea about what you want to do, let me ask the question, just what is storytelling? Well, storytelling is the art of describing an event or an experience that creates an emotional connection between the storyteller and his or her intended audience. You cannot just say, on Saturday morning I went to the market to buy eggs and came back empty-handed. That would seem quite boring. But what if you said, on Saturday morning, I rushed to get dressed and scurried out the door to get to the market to buy eggs. As I waited in line, there she was, the little red-headed girl. But she completely ignored me. I was so devastated, I returned home with no eggs. Do you see the difference? The secret is in the detail and emotional connection. We sympathize with the character. Now that we know what storytelling is, does your idea of working with children change? Do you have new ideas about how to work with stories? Think about how can we make that emotional connection? How can we discuss other uses for storytelling beyond the scope of this classroom? Take a few minutes and discuss these ideas with your classmate. Let's get started with an exercise. Look at the picture provided here and discuss for 10 minutes how you can teach children with this visual aid. Decide what questions can be asked that will elicit vocabulary and parts of speech from your students. Now, take 10 minutes for this exercise. Did you come up with questions such as, what colors do you see? How many boys and girls are in the picture? What are the people doing? Can you name the objects in the picture? What new vocabulary did you find? Could your students formulate whole sentences with new vocabulary? What we have done is an exercise which can be a warm-up or a wrap-up exercise in its simplest form. You could elaborate more if you begin to make more complicated questions such as, where are these people, what are they doing, and who do you think is in charge? This would begin stimulating the imagination of the spectator, so they have to begin forming a narrative. You must keep in mind that the activity you carry out with your students will depend on their age and their English language level. Now, let us take a few minutes to talk about right brain books like the ones shown here. They can be used in this same way, though they build a much larger narrative. Right brain books are a series of illustrated pages ready for writing and designed to inspire creativity and imagination in young learners. Books can be used by individuals, in pairs, or groups. Everyone contributes to the story. Students can produce different stories from the same book. A page or a series of pages or the entire book can be used. You can even invent your own method. Let us take a few minutes and find a brain book that appeals to you. Open your book to a page, then take a sheet of paper or use your notebooks to make a table like the one you see here. Now, with a partner, make a list of what you see, placing every word in the proper column. List the people and the objects, the actions taking place, and any other descriptive vocabulary you can. Take 10 minutes. Now, with the information you provided in the table, make complete sentences. Take 10 minutes for this exercise. Do the sentences accurately describe what you see in the picture? Can you improve or embellish what you've written? How? Think about it. Providing detail adds to the quality of your sentences. If you came up with a sentence that reads, "The red ship sailed cautiously," can we improve by adding more detail? Where was the ship going? Could you say something like, "The large bright ship sailed cautiously through the wind to the abandoned island"? Is that better? Writing in your native language can be difficult. Just imagine writing in a language that is not your own. Limitations include lack of vocabulary, grammatical and spelling mistakes, and syntax errors, among others. These will not be important for now. We are interested in sparking students' creativity and getting them started on a journey of communication through writing. Once this spark is ignited, proper English writing will follow. Using right brain workbooks, we can teach young children to observe and describe what they see and show them how to begin writing. Through this exercise, they will also learn vocabulary, action verbs, and better syntax. Let's take a couple of minutes for each participant to look through their books for the next exercise. As you go through Right Brain books, you will notice that each page has a picture and a space for writing. The object is to create a story from each book describing the events you see on the pages. Depending on the age of the children in your class, you can teach verbs, nouns, and descriptions using the chart in the warm-up exercise. From one of the books, develop a series of questions to use as prompts in the classroom. Prompts should be used to direct your young learners to describe the pages. Sample prompts can include any of the following. You can look for the obvious with younger students by helping them describe just what they see. Our objective is to teach simple vocabulary to children. What colors do you see? How many people are in the scene? What are the people doing? For older students, you can try and elicit inference or past histories from the pictures. Our objective would be teaching inference, deduction, and conclusion from the evidence. What are the possible professions of the characters? Why? What can we assume about the characters? Describe them. What has happened to create the events shown in the picture? What is the assumption you are making? Now, choose a page in your book and take 20 minutes to write an objective and prompts for the page. These should be questions appropriate for the age and level of the students. Once you've discussed with the class these different aspects of their stories based on the prompts, hopefully you have elicited from your students the beginnings of a narrative or story. Let us discuss how to construct a narrative. Based on what is seen and what you can infer from the pictures, design your own narrative. As is so with any good writing, there must be a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning sets the tone and setting for the story. Is this a love story, a scary story, a tragedy, or comedy? There are many more types. You set the plot in the beginning. The prompts you select for the beginning of the story should elicit this information from the pages. The middle section describes and relates the events taking place. Good middle sections give detail and supporting information for the plot. The end wraps things up and provides us with a sense of closure or conclusion. Again, we must teach our students to ask the right questions about the pictures they see. Take a few minutes and make a sketch of the narrative you would like to construct from the pictures you see. This is just a brief glimpse of what your narrative could be. This is like creating a map or guideline where we want to go in the story. With a simple outline of a narrative or a map of where students want to go with the story, they should begin to describe accurately and precisely the events from the picture. They might even infer other facts not shown. Prompts and outlines will help students develop their stories in a logical sequence with rich descriptions. I hope you have success trying these story writing techniques. We would like to close this introduction to storytelling for children by asking you to write a lesson plan based on what you have learned so far. Copy the template shown here and build your lesson plan for teaching children writing based on the information solicited for each category. This lesson was intended to be an introduction to using stories in the English language classroom for young learners. We hope that the information provided here will help you develop your own lesson plans and help you become a creative teacher. Thank you so much for your participation in today's workshop.